Cambodians go to the polls today to vote in what is being described as a rigged general election. The Prime Minister, Hun Sen, has consolidated his power over the last 4 decades by jailing, exiling or co-opting his opponents.
That's right. Well, earlier this week, Melbourne's Cambodian community gathered to urge voters to boycott the election. Well, joining us now is Victorian Labor State MP for Clarinda, Meng Hiang Tek. Heng, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
We saw the anger and frustration of Australian Cambodians here over the election that's happening in Cambodia. Is there a close tie between the diaspora here and what's happening in their birth homes?
Well, there is a very close tie, very strong link between us here and back home. And what we see, what we call election in Cambodia, but the Cambodian diaspora here in Melbourne do not call it an election. We call it shame election.
Why does this anger still exist, even though the Cambodians have relocated here in Australia?
Well, because there's strong tie, and although we live here where we have experience and we have seen how a inclusive democracy is look like here in Australia and in our birth country, we don't see that happen. Although they were promised to the Cambodian people in Cambodia through the Paris Peace Accord back in 1993. So those promises fell short, and 30 years after those promises by the Paris Peace Accord, now we back to square one, basically to a one-party state.
Is the diaspora united in their anger and opposition towards the Hun Sen government, or is it a fractured diaspora with different views?
I would say it's a very strong, united community here. Our common goal and wish the same is we wish, and our aspiration is to see our birth country experience or receive what we call an inclusive society and free and fair election, which we haven't seen.
Hiang, we have seen and we know about the repercussions of talking speaking against Hun Sen and his government. They're usually jailed, they're usually exiled, and that's in Cambodia. But there are also repercussions when you speak against the government, the Cambodian government, overseas as well. And we know that you made a speech in State Parliament talking about human rights in Cambodia, and you felt the repercussions. Can you tell us about what you went through?
Well, I received a death threat or warning not to continue to speak up, but that will not be allowed. We will not be silenced here in Australia because people in Cambodia rely on our voice to tell the international community that there's no free and fair elections in Cambodia. The repercussions would look like that myself and those who come out protest may not be able to return to Cambodia, and our activity here continue to be surveillance, but we will not, and we will continue to speak up and speak out in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Cambodia who want to see a free, fair and inclusive society.
Hiang, what would a democratic Cambodia look like today?
The world had promised Cambodia a free and fair society. So we want to see all Cambodians can participate in democratic society where we all can contribute, where our asset and aspiration can be achieved through free and fair election without intimidations or fear.
Meng Hiang Tek, Victoria Labor State Member of Clarinda, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you for having me.